Okay, hi everyone. Let me just close that down for goodness sake. Right, hi everyone. So this is the last session of the Family Wellness Summit. I can't believe it. I almost want it to carry on and on, but I'd run out of energy, I swear. I'm joined by Beverley Webb. Beverley, thank you for being here. Beverley is a multi-award-winning specialist recovery practitioner. You're going to have to tell us exactly what that means soon, Beverley. But I know that you deal a lot with stress, trauma, abuse, all the chronic stuff. You picked the best subject there. Didn't want to pick anything easy, did you? Just went to all the hard stuff. And today she's going to be teaching us how to create a family wellness toolbox. So I'm really looking forward to that. So Beverley, I've asked everybody who's been on with me, how did you end up doing this job that you're now doing?
Well, actually, it actually chose me, if I should say that, because I specialise in what they call adverse childhood experiences, and otherwise known as ACEs. And that is experiences in childhood, particularly young adulthood, between bullying, abuse, emotional, physical, quite a bit of what Jackie was talking about yesterday. So lots of different things, being separated from your birth parents. And I myself was a child who was the eldest of 6 siblings that my mum and dad kept between them, and we were brought up in care several times. So I went into care when I was 4 until I was 10, back into care again at 13 until I was 15. I have to say, for me, being in care was the best thing, and I am the woman I am today because of the people in my life then, and it was a real success. At 15, I was fostered by my English teacher, which was wonderful because I thought I was going to be part of a normal family. Sadly, I didn't know how to be part of the normal family, because although I was only 15, I'd been the main carer. Both my parents, when we were at home, were alcoholics, and it was a very toxic environment to be around. Lots of violence as well. So at 16, when it sadly broke down, I ended up living in a hostel. And that's when, at Christmas, that same Christmas when I was 16, I was sitting around the kitchen table and in the hostel, and there were about 5 other vulnerable young people having Christmas dinner. And I looked around, and even though we had lots of adults around us, nobody had actually asked us what our own story was and what really goes on behind closed doors. And I knew one day I'd use my voice, wasn't sure when, but I knew it would be in front of the NSPCC, because they'd helped a lot and several times, and they went on to help as well as we got older. I didn't envisage that I would use my voice across, well, now it's worldwide, which is fantastic. And I'm very passionate about opening a conversation, and that's where it comes from my childhood. Because there were times when I was acting out, for want of a better word, sometimes having night traumas. Although I was generally a well-behaved child, there were times when I couldn't find the words to speak. So I'm very passionate for young people, children, even adults, to have that safe space and to be able to feel that they can use their voice in whatever way.
That's really lovely, and what an inspiration. And so many of the people I've spoke to, and myself included, we've used something that's gone on in our life to do something positive. And at the time it felt like things weren't going well, but then we've been able to use that to then go on and lead the life that we do now and help people. So it's
absolutely. And that was the other thing. So I'm now a specialist recovery practitioner, which you mentioned earlier, and I'm certified by someone called the Chrysalis Effect, and it's a recovery program from chronic illness, so chronic fatigue, ME, fibromyalgia. And where I specialise in ACEs, the higher your ACE score, the more likely, or if you've got a score of 4 out of 10 or more, you're 32% more likely to be medically diagnosed with a chronic illness later in life. And also, if you go very high to an 8 or 9, your life expectancy is shortened by up to 20 years. So when I learned all about this, and I was very ill, at one time, I was very much, okay, that's the information you're giving me. So what else can I do? How can I change that? Because I'm always about reframing. Give me the information, let me make the choice.
Yeah, I understand that. I can totally relate to that myself. I'm exactly that person as well. So yeah, that means a lot. What are you doing for your own well-being at the moment?
Well, anyone who knows me, that word self-care is the ultimate. And it's something I had to learn. And when I work with my clients, that is often the first thing we have to learn, self-care. And self-care is about being able to listen to your body and your emotions, so it's physical, mental and emotional, and then think, what do I want? What do I need? So for me, I now do that absolutely every day. And there are times you have to do more rather than less. So first of all, the first thing I always do is I clean my teeth with an aloe vera toothpaste. And I do that because for years I've suffered with my mouth. I've had shingles of the mouth, ulcers, and that's through not having a voice. And now when I clean my teeth, and I couldn't clean my teeth for a long, long time, I look in the mirror and I look at that person cleaning her teeth, because I trust that person, I'm with that person, I love that person, and I nurture that little girl inside. So yes, I do that first every single day.
I absolutely love the simplicity of that action, but how powerful that is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
And
Okay, so you're going to talk to us about creating our family wellness toolbox. So we're going to hand over to you and let you tell us what we need to do.
Okay. Well, the first thing I always say to everyone, and thank you for bringing this together, Julie, because it's been fantastic. We've seen 13 other wonderful speakers, and they've all brought their own advice and shared some wonderful information for every family. And it's not for one person to say this is the right way to do it. It's for us to have that information and choose what's right for our family. But particularly at the moment, because we are going through an unprecedented stage of trauma, and it is trauma, it's all around us. So even if you've not had trauma in your childhood, this is trauma right now. We're not making choices being made for us, and we're all reacting in different ways. And I think that's important to acknowledge, first of all, because we find it very difficult sometimes. We think, oh, this is how it is. Well, it may be how it is, but it's okay to feel angry, upset. You know, these are all valid emotions. But when you're feeling like that, how can we reframe it? And sometimes we don't know the answers. So it's just, first of all, I like to come to the physical, first of all. So when we're feeling stressed, when we're feeling angry, what's going on in your body? And I'm going to relate it to me here for a minute. And the reason why I bring it back to simple things is, with all the stress that I went through as a child, I didn't know. I didn't know that it wasn't normal, because it was my normal. So when anything happens, I'm really very good at emergencies. And a lot of people that have come from trauma are very good in emergencies. And then afterwards, when the adrenaline has gone back down, that's when we think, what now? But we haven't learned necessarily how to look after ourselves. So that's why I bring it to the physical. How are you feeling? On Friday, I woke up and I felt bleh. And it's the only word I can say. So as I lay there in bed, it was like, okay, so what are you feeling? And I was just feeling very heavy in the heart. And then my next question is there anywhere else? And it was in my stomach. And the reason why I do that is our body is very, very clever at telling us and sending us messages, but we don't always listen. So once I acknowledged that, I then said to myself, emotionally, what's the matter? And actually, that particular morning, on Friday morning, the little voice inside me said, I feel lonely. And that's because my children aren't here. I wasn't nurturing anybody. I was tired. And so then I thought, what do I need next? So I did get up cleans my teeth. And if you remember, the weather last week wasn't that good, was it? So I'd been out for short walks. So this particular day on Friday, I thought, right, today I'm going to go for a longer walk. Wrapped up, took my dog, went for a long walk, and it was fantastic. I got to say hello to other people. I picked some wild flowers that you can see in the jug behind there. And because I was listening to myself and thinking about what I needed, I was starting to use the tools that I have around me. Now, when I speak to my clients about a toolbox, we have a physical toolbox, but we also have an emotional toolbox. And when I say emotional, it's because we can't necessarily put our hands on it. So, having a toolbox that the whole family can access, I think it's a wonderful idea. And yes, I do live on my own, but I've got a lovely pink box here in the kitchen under the table. And in my pink box, I actually have pencils, felt tips, and I have colouring books. And I also take that toolbox with me when I host a monthly wellbeing group for adult survivors of sexual abuse. So I take it. But also in there, you can have anything creative. So if you've got younger children, it's great to have a box that they can access things at any time. So there's no restrictions. Now, obviously, I've had young children and I didn't necessarily want them getting sand out just as I'm about to do dinner, etc. So yes, I would have special things that they can play with. That means it's their box, their comfort box, their safe box. And it's finding the words that work for you and your family. Another thing that I have, which is a physical thing, is a board, and we call it an awareness board. Now, awareness is being able to, and your younger children can't necessarily do this, but your older children can, particularly young adults, but even teenagers, even grown-up members in the family, is when they're not feeling good, but they don't necessarily want to tell you, but they just want to let you know in a way that I'm getting it out. So you have note sticks, and you put a word on that note stick and put it on the board. Now that's powerful in itself, because whilst you haven't been able to necessarily verbalise how you're feeling, just being able to write it down, it's there. You started to open up the conversation with yourself. Then there's lots of other things that I do. So in the bathroom. The bathroom for some people is a wonderful place, and it is for me. I personally prefer a bath over showers. And when I have a bath, that comes back to nurturing. And if you've got everybody in the house together and we've all been getting different feelings at different times, sometimes the bathroom is the only space that's got a lock on it. And it's like, I'm going in there for half an hour, whatever time you've agreed. Lock that door. What's in your bathroom? Now, I have the cheapest of bubble baths. Not going to lie. There are lots of other shops, but I go to Lidl and I buy different coloured bubble baths on purpose. And they're all in and decanted in decanters. So when I want to have a bath and it's my self-care, and this is what I call your self-care box, it's not just you're running a bath, you're actually being mindful of your bath. Ooh, what colour am I going to choose today to put in to my bath? And as you're pouring it from a decanter, it takes time. And when you're watching it, you're already bringing yourself down. So there's lots of different ideas there. Even your videos today, there's been, in the last few days, there's been some wonderful things shared about breathing. That's what I call my emotional tool in the toolbox, because as Jackie was doing breathing with you, I do that as well with my clients. And there's lots of different things you can do. Like for myself on Friday, when I wanted to hug, when I was doing my breathing, I can cross my hands over, palms together, wiggle the fingers together and bring them up. Can you do that, Julie? That's it. Right, now bring it up. And if you're doing that with 3 deep breaths, did you know that's your brain, that's the closest you're bringing your left and right side of your brain together, and it's like giving yourself a hug. And if you're feeling angry, stressed, particularly anxious, by breathing in slowly 3-4 times through your nose and breathing out through your mouth and doing this, relaxing your shoulders, it really brings you into a calm parasympathetic state. So all these things I'm bringing together for you are just simple things. And the reason why I do that all the time is when we get stressed, we overwhelm ourselves. Movement, exercise, I want to get fit, I want to go out, I'm going to go to the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week, and I know we can't at the moment, but go for a walk for miles. Actually, no, we don't have to do that. If you've not been out because for some reason you've had an injury, just being outside in the garden for 5-10 minutes, if you're lucky enough to have a garden, is another tool in your toolbox. Now, often with these other little things that you can do, and like the videos and the meditations, what I encourage my clients to do is access this information in one place. So have they got a journal? And then we write down all the different things that they can do, but breathing techniques, having a bath. So it's listed there. So that's the the wellness, self-care tools in the toolbox in a journal. And that can go in the physical wellness box. And there's a reason for that. When adrenaline is running really fast and we become anxious, stressed, or become triggered, and for anyone who's not aware of what a trigger is, often it's when our body is remembering something from the past, it's reacting to a memory or something that's happened in the past, and we want to bring ourselves back to the actual present here and now. What happens sometimes is our brain goes fuzzy and we can't think. So by having that toolbox, you don't have to think. You go to the pink box, or whatever box it is, or bag, however you want to create it, it's safe, and you're reframing how you're feeling. But one really great tip I will share, one of my clients did this, and she shared it yesterday actually. She's got 3 daughters and 2 of them are teenagers and a husband, and she was a bit concerned, especially in what's happening, and 2 of her daughters were staying in their bedrooms quite a bit. So she took the opportunity, and it's something everyone can do. You can do it with old wallpaper or just have a big board. And she wrote up the vision and what she'd like to bring in her life. And then her daughters and her husband were, "What's that?" And she said, "Well, they're things that I've always wanted to do. They're things that I want to do in my business." And they're like, "Oh." And she said, "Well, I don't know the answers for all of you, but I'm just doing what I feel is right for me. I'm feeling a bit confused." And she shared that. And with that, they all started doing it at different times. And now they've been opening the conversation. And that, the other time in a toolbox as well, is the best and worst. And anyone who knows me knows that I've been doing this for years when my children were growing up, because sadly I got divorced when my children were 11 and 10. So I always wanted to find out what was happening, but enable them to have a voice. And so we'd sit down at the evening table, and no matter if there were 2 people or 20, we went round the table and we'd say the best and worst of the day. Because often once we verbalise it, we're able to reframe it. So I've brought loads there in one breath. Is there any questions anybody has to answer? Because I know you've got a few people watching live.
Yeah, we'll ask in a minute. Thanks for that. It's I love the hug. That's so cool. That's such a nice thing to do. And it's amazing how when you've got your hands crossed on your heart, how that feels. That was lovely. And the best and the worst, we do that in our house. And we've done that for a long time. And yeah, you're right. It's really, I think it's really important for the children to know how the adults are feeling as well. So sometimes it's a case of, I might say, "Well, do you know what? I am feeling a bit stressed because I'm really, really busy. And then the children will often say, can we help you, mummy? And I say, well, actually, if you could just tidy up the dinner plates or something, and then it just is a way of everybody pulling together, so it's nice, really
And
nice.
also, we're showing that we're human beings, because let's be honest, as parents, we never get a book. We are very good at judging ourselves.
Yeah.
We're very good at thinking everybody else thinks that we're going to think this if we don't do it that way or this way. And yet we're the ones judging ourselves. And I personally think it's a great way, when our children become a certain age, that we're able to say, I don't know how to do that actually. What do you think?
Yeah.
Because I've actually learned a lot through my children, and I'm very proud of that. But it's too easy sometimes when we get busy. Oh, I'll do that, I'll do that. Well, actually, no. As you said, you're enabling them to help you as well.
Yeah, exactly. And then they feel valuable themselves, don't they? So it has lots of benefits to it. So Carol's type, she had to go. She said she's really sorry she had to go, but she is going to be putting together her happy box, is what she called it. I like that, happy box. Yeah, I love the idea of the baths with the decanters and the different colours. I also Caroline last night on the How to Pamper Yourself, she spoke about making a space that's just yours, that's got your things that you like, pictures that you like, ornaments that you like, that's just yours. And yeah, she'd probably relate to that with the bathroom.
And we do that so well as children with dens. I don't know if I was saying about this yesterday, you know, you only needed a table and a cloth, and you put it over and you'd be underneath. That's your space. And it's such a simple, great idea, isn't it? Another thing about the box as well, though, is having different books in there. So one of my favourite books, and this is something that I recommend with all my children clients, and you probably know it.
It's a great book. It's one of my favourites, yeah.
And it's just a great go-to book. I've read this so many times. And occasionally, you know, I won't read it necessarily all the way through now, but I keep it in the box. And every so often, because bereavement, etc., life happens. It's never a straight road. Then I'll pick it up and think, oh yes, actually, I need a little bit of extra self-care. So books like this are always good. And comedy films.
Yeah, comedy stuff. I got on my group of mums on the Get Back to You group. They're doing the happiness formula this week, and I get them to find a clip of something that really makes them laugh. And the one that makes me laugh, which loads of them have been commenting about, is Holly and Phil from This Morning. They're funny bits.
Oh yes.
Every time that makes me laugh my head off, and lots of the mums this week have been posting, I just watched the Holly and Phil, it's so funny. But yeah, the minute we laugh, we release the stress, we go into the other side of our nervous system and we feel better. So yeah,
absolutely. And I could go through the science of it, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to, let's enjoy it. One of the things I will say is, again, one of my big, in the winter with the dark nights, the best thing I love, so I should reframe it, instead of thinking, oh, it's dark nights, it's, you know, cold, I love Strictly Come Dancing.
Me too.
So I love it. It gets to September. Not only do I have it Saturday and Sunday night, I've got half an hour every night with sequins and glamour and watching people grow. And I just think it's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's those simple things.
No, it's so true. Some of the simplest of things are the best, aren't they? Right, yeah. Who have we got on the group? Does anybody want to, I'm just going to change gallery view so I can see everyone. Anybody want to ask Beverley anything at the moment? Is everyone good? Are you all right, Carrie? You good? Good. Meg, you're okay? Claire? Thanks for being here. Lindsay's got her camera off now anyway. Well, as ever, people can ask you questions in the group.
Yes.
We managed to get this live on Facebook, so that's good. And well, just thank you, Beverley, for being so honest and open as well. And you can just see the enthusiasm just pouring out of you. It's so lovely. And yeah, I think we're all going to go and do our happy boxes, as Carol called it.
Well, I also want to share something with you, because can you see in the background that lovely heart picture?
It is lovely, yes.
That's actually something that I achieved. I went on an expedition to Malawi in Africa 18 months ago, and I went there, and I was speaking there as well at Warwick. It's for women overcoming sexual violence, and I love creating memories and that lovely warm feeling. So that's an old picture, but when I came back, I had that material that we bought out there, because you have to cover your knees, and I decided I wanted to put it in my kitchen. And so remember those good memories, because it's how we feel and how we attach ourselves to memories that makes a difference to us. So that makes a difference to me every day.
Oh, that is lovely. I have a picture in my kitchen where I stand at the hob, which, as you can imagine, I spend quite a lot of time in my kitchen. I have a picture opposite me that gives me the same sort of feeling. So I can just, it's there when I'm just cooking away, and it's just, yeah, it's nice, isn't it, to have those visuals with the emotional side. Can't get better than that, really.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Julie. It's been an absolute pleasure to be part of this. I've been watching it all week. There's some that I want to go back and watch again anyway. But thank you, because it's been wonderful. And thank you to everybody else in the group. So if there's any questions, anyone who knows me, I don't shy away from conversations. As I say, I like to open those conversations and speak about the things that we often find difficult, because once we've found a way to verbalise it, often then we can move forward from it.
Absolutely, well said. Yeah, just thank you for being here. It was just lovely, and it's lovely to see you share all your stuff and just be so, oh, I can't even, you just wear your heart on the outside of yourself. It's just lovely to see. Carrie's giving you a round of applause, so no, it's really nice. Well, thank you. We're going to say goodbye, and this is the last session, so I'm now going to go and spend some time with my kids.
Oh, bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.